Hello and welcome to the Racetech V8 Supercar series live on Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick. Alongside me in the commentary box is Marco Barboner, who will also be operating the cameras tonight. And we're here at the brilliant Silverstone circuit. Marco, this is one of my favourites. We've been here quite a bit in recent weeks, hosted quite a few races from this place. It's the first time we've ever visited this circuit, this newer Silverstone circuit in this championship, and well, we're coming up to the end of the season. It's an important round of the season.
It is absolutely. Hello everyone. Hello Sam. Yes, I think that it's getting close to crunch time here in the Euro V8 season. I can tell that because it is a constant of this second half of the season that I have to commentate race one with basically the sun beaming straight on my two monitors. It has been, basically since the beginning when we started doing this many years ago. Of course, Euro V8 are pretty stable with their calendar. One season always ends around May and June. So yeah, but I'm so excited to be here. The last time we were at the big Silverstone, of course, it was the old Silverstone. We had an absolute masterclass from Michael Taliancic. Let's see if someone has the ability, the courage, if it is possible to pull a no stopper in the second race. But we will see. What I can tell you now is that we are in qualifying. And as you can see, the drivers are already taking to the track. But Sam, we have been given some important news just before the start of the broadcast by league organizer Clyde Whiting.
Yes, and you rely on me to go and load it up, so thank you a lot for that. Pit lane starts for, I assume, George McClay and Tyler Newitt. I think he is the only George, certainly the only Tyler. Not quite sure what that is for George McClay. We were at Lime Rock Park 2 weeks ago, and there's pretty kind in terms of the penalties in this series. The Stewards very much have a fantastic approach where it's a little bit of accidental contact. No point in penalising it. The drone stands are superb anyway, so having really authoritarian policies like that probably not too necessary. So not quite sure if it was due to racecraft or maybe he's broken one of the other rules of the championship, maybe some more admin rules or something. But he will be starting from the pits. And of course, that's very important because George McKay has led the championship for pretty much the entire season. Monza, he took the lead out of the first round of the championship. He's been able to hang on to it ever since then until last time out when Nicole Foggy, I believe, was the points highest scorer. He has now got the championship lead without drop scores and with drop scores as well. George McKay, of course, he was runner-up last season. Looks as though he might be heading to that position again, but we've still got a few more rounds of the championship to go for him to overhaul that. Johnny Brandon, probably the only other driver who can challenge them. Jamie McKnight in 4th place. We know how fantastic McKnight is from the AOSC Super Series, the Akita AOSC Super Series, which we broadcast on a Friday morning. I'm not sure if he is here. He is here today, actually, I think, is McKnight. And he should be pretty paced around the circuit, but he needs to have a very good result. But Foggy's consistency recently, Marco, has been phenomenal. These podiums that he's been able to rattle in ever since those disastrous couple of rounds he had, a massive gap to make up. And safe to say, George McClay hasn't driven badly. He hasn't had any bad rounds as McClay. Foggy's just been able to take little by little out of him a couple of incredible enduro rounds as well, where he's been totally dominant. And he's recovered that gap and some with a few rounds of the championship to go.
A true mark of a champion. What can we say? I mean, Nicole Foggy has never lost his cool and has made the most out of a bad situation. And so far, he is absolutely looking like the Nicole Fogg we all know and loved a couple of seasons ago, but also last season before he got TCR-itis and decided that he was more apt to. I mean, I don't know if there is something where it is slow. Car on iRacing, everything I've seen him drive, he has been very quick. So, but last year he wanted to concentrate on TCR. This year, of course, he is back. Uh, Again, pains me to say driving the Olden, but that hasn't slowed him down one bit. And as you can see, leading the way in front of his teammate by 2/10 of a second, Marco Nurmela from Finland is in third. Tony Klusterman will temporarily start in fourth position, and Joshua Chin is in fifth. Let's say a big shout out to our colleague Dane Bird. He's having fun out there with this absolutely not at all, you know, green livery. I mean, a very, very sober and very, very calm livery. I would say it's a beautiful paint job that he showed to me earlier. And yeah, he said that, of course, if he spins, if he crashes, we will pick him out very soon. Of course, Sam, I am 100% confident that you see him as a black car because you don't have the latest paint pack.
I do have the latest paint pack,
Ooh.
actually, Marco, because I arrived 1 hour early for this, so I got to fill my time somehow, haven't I? So that was
You are right.
no, it looks very nice. Does that over? By the way, Clyde Whiteson, come on, mate, you live in the UK, be UK centric. Just make it always UK time. What's with the GMTs? Just make it UK time, and everyone's happy bunnies, eh? But instead, it's an hour later than it was at the start of the season. Absolute chaos
Yeah, Sam, but there is
ensued,
something
it's
that
safe to say.
really bothered me about this. As Brandon improves but doesn't close the gap to Foggy enough. This is not the first race we had with daylight saving on. Why did you show today 1 hour earlier and not the previous rounds? I think this is the second or third round that we've had since the switch to daylight saving.
Don't question it, all right? I've
No, no,
made a
no.
mistake. We learn. I'll be stronger after this. If I make this same mistake in a fortnight's time, then safe to say I haven't learned. But we will see. The checker flag is out. The drivers are completing the lap times that they have started. You can see at the top of the tower, Nicole Foggy at the top there. Johnny Brandon in second place. Marco Nomella pretty high up in third, and Steve Lavelli up in fourth. Never quit racing. No drivers for them up in the top four places. Dane Bird has just set the fastest third sector of anyone, which is remarkable. I don't know how he's managed to do that. Not quite sure what Dane's pace is, to be honest, but well, we'll see how he's going to do. It seems like he is a while off the pace at the moment. As he crosses the line, goes 16th, 3.7 seconds off. That's unbelievable, Mark. He just set the fastest third sector of anyone, and no disrespect to Dane, was comfortably off the pace everywhere else.
I think there was a bug because I see that he had a 38.35 third sector.
Yeah,
For
that's
example,
not particularly
Foggy has
inspiring,
a
is it?
37.49, so I don't know, maybe the system has some favoritism for our own commentators. I don't know. But
Good
yeah,
that that's built in. I mean, it's
yeah.
not just down to us to favour now. The timing is on our side.
By the way, speaking of the colleagues, I had the pleasure to meet Tyler Newitt the other night during the dinner with the Racers broadcast, where I also was able to fulfill one of my dreams. I was able to have a very very quick chat with Calvin Fish, which is one of my favorite commentators of all time. Of course, he does the Blancpain GT America. He did IMSA for many many years on American television, and Tyler was the race director for that race we had in Le Mans. So yeah, nice to meet Tyler, and nice to, of course, meet one of my favorite broadcasters, commentators of all time in Calvin Fish. Of course, not only a great commentator, but also a very very good driver, and has raced against some of the best drivers in the world, including when he was driving in the UK against Ayrton Senna. And we have the grid.
Yes, and it is an XVR 1-2. Foggy and Brandon, and they were quite clear of the rest of the order. Marking Namella lines up in third. Then Steve Lavelli, Chris Jackson ahead of his teammate Tony Klusterman. Worrying times for them 1 second off the pace. We're just not quite hitching up the sets up today. Josh Chin up there in seventh place with Richard Alsop in eighth. Then it's Jamie Wilson and Richard Warming rounding out the top 10. Jamie McKnight, disappointing for him, down in 11th place. Thought he'd be a bit stronger as AOSU recently visited this circuit. Wayne Sanson lines up in 12th. Then it's Nikolai Bogatyrov, Lane O'Connor, Anthony Woodward, Dane Baird on his debut, Jamie Jeffrey, Tyler Newitt, George McClay, of course, starting from the pits. And hopefully we'll see Sam Buzan, Dominic Sori, Clyde Whiting, Andrew Hoffman, Bill Switzer, and Andrew Packer also taking the grid. However, many of those drivers did not set qualifying times. It seems like the grid is just about adequate size, so that we're not going to have drivers trailing back through the final corner. That would be pretty tricky. Instead, everyone should be able to start on this front stretch. It's a decent run down into turn 1. There's plenty of opportunities to pass as well into 3. This is a great opportunity for Foggy to extend his championship lead even further. McClay should be strong for race 2. Should be starting pretty high up the order, but this is Foggy's time to really put some distance between him and his championship rival, and maybe extend his lead as well to Brandon, who really does need to have a good meeting today to keep his 3-time championship hopes alive. So here are the lights then for this race 1 of round 10 of the Euro V8 Supercar Series. And we launch away. Foggy with a very poor start.
massive
There's a
wreck.
big crash in the background as well, but Brandon's going to take the lead straight off the bat. Foggy tries to stick it around the outside. Brandon should have the ideal line going into the hairpin. However, Foggy will still try to stay in there. Nurmela in 3rd place. Good start for Kloosterman to move past Jackson. Not a great start for Alsop, I believe. Foggy has got the inside for the 2nd hairpin here. Brandon taking a very wide line, trying to get a good exit.
Oh,
Oh,
Jackson.
big contact with some of the front runners just in the background. I think that was Jackson and Kloosterman, and one of the XVR drivers as well.
Lavelli.
But Brandon has been able to make that move stick. And now maybe Nurmela might move ahead of Foggy as well. He's moving ahead. Oh, and straight off the circuit is Nurmela. Is he going to be able to avoid Brandon? No, he can't. And Foggy has to take an evasive action. And there through goes Joshua Chin. Foggy had to take a massive evasive action. And I wonder what the situation is for Brandon. What an incredible start that was.
What happened to Marco? Like, he was completely either a brake failure on his hardware or he completely misjudged it. One of the most chaotic first laps of the season. That's saying something. This was absolutely crazy. We had a massive wreck at the start with, I think, man, who was someone blew his engine straight away after a big hit, and then we had that collision there that took out Jackson and involved also Tony Kloosterman and Lavelli, and then we had, I mean, I saw Bogatyrov have a massive pendulum on the backstretch, and then Marco Nurmela basically either, we know Marco is a fantastic driver, so either, he forgot that the corner was there, or he had a failure, or maybe he was fiddling with something.
Brandon's in.
Yeah, Brandon's got massive damage, man. I mean, he got completely clobbered on the not driver side. So Joshua Chin, I think for the first time this season, and in his V8 career, is leading a race, and we know how good, how a fantastic driver is Joshua Chin, and certainly due to this kind of competition, his first full season in the V8s, and who knows, maybe we could have, I mean, look at the top 4, top 5. I mean, Chin, Alsop, Wormingham, Wilson, Foggy now just going past McKnight. This could be one of those races.
Definitely, this is the situation we usually see in race 2, but this is a race 1 right now. Chin leading the American, struggling to keep ahead of Alsop. Foggy's got a completely clean car. Remember, he had to take massive. I mean, I thought Foggy was going to maintain the lead. He dropped down to about 10th place, going very wide at this corner when he had to avoid Nurmela. But he has got back up to 5th place now, has Foggy. He's probably still the favourite for this race, but he's got to make some overtakes. This is how it happened for Foggy. Oh, so he moved across then. Oh, sorry, well, that was on board with Nurmela. So he moved across, I think, did Nurmela, make contact with Foggy.
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
and that's
yes,
Nurmela's fault.
Yes.
And, oh, unlucky for Brandon. Of course, he was the instant party in there. And Foggy taking evasive action. They didn't want to pick up any damage. But yeah, that was all Marco Nomella, unfortunately. Wasn't quite a car clear, and that was very aggressive considering the circumstances.
Good spot there, Sam. I didn't notice it at first due to the camera angle that there was... That explains why he was so out of shape coming into the corner. That was a very, very aggressive move. You are absolutely right. Strange because Marco is a very, very... it happens, even to the best. He's a very calm and calculating driver. But
All
this
battle
time,
for fourth.
it didn't work.
Wilson defending against Foggy. This is big for Team Chimera. If Wilson can keep behind Foggy for just maybe, I don't know, a lap, that would really help his chances of Josh Chin winning this race. Foggy isn't close enough for a move into one. As long as everything goes all right for Foggy, as long as he doesn't get involved in any more collisions, he should be able to win this race with still over 20 minutes to go. But there's the potential for the drivers he's got to overtake to make things tricky for him. There's a big chain. Alsop hasn't got the pace to overhaul Chin. We've seen Alsop come close to a race win already this season. Probably Suzuka race 2 was his best opportunity before he had a spin in running in second place, which warming had to come into the pits for fuel, which was probably infuriating for Alsop as he would have taken the lead. Or was that Nomella? I think that was Nomella, apologies. Alsop finishing fourth in that race. But basically, Team Chimera have become, Racecraft Esports have become very close to a race win so far this season. Foggy still yet to get past Wilson, 4th and 5th, but they aren't losing any time to these guys. A few off checks as well. Remember, if you get too many off checks, then you will get some penalty points. I believe it's for every 10 you get like 2 penalty points. I think it's quite similar to ARL GT, which was inspired, that rule from ARL GT was inspired by this phase. It's a very good way of managing the penalty points. As Foggy is as Warming's got past Alsop, who's got a slowdown, and Richard Alsop, well, saying how he might be able to win a race, Foggy Tyre's got a slowdown as well, and Alsop drops behind McKnight. That makes it very comfortable for Foggy, and that would have been a tricky move because Alsop's a feisty customer. But that is an easy place game for Warmingham and Wilson, who is still defending. Same situation as we saw on the last lap. But into Vale, Wilson has this one covered, and Foggy doesn't quite have an answer at the moment.
Foggy looks to make the move, but meantime, at the front of the pack, I see that Chin keeps on putting on very, very quick laps, even though Tony Klusterman just had the fastest lap of the race, but he has been beaten by someone. I don't know who, but I just saw his best time disappear. But yeah, Chin is holding his own there, and he's looking like he could really, starting to pull a gap on Warmingham and the rest. Brandon 201.883. I mean, Johnny Brandon in this season, if he didn't have bad luck, he would have no luck at all, because I mean, this is been absolutely crazy, the amount of stuff that has happened to Tony, to Johnny this season. I mean, I hope that for him, for his sake, that he is like concentrating all of the bad luck in this season, and starting from the next one, he will be smiled on upon by the iRacing gods, because a lot of tough breaks, a lot of crazy stuff happened to him in this championship.
Here comes Foggy down the inside into Cops, and just about got his car alongside into Woodcut. And once he got that, it was very comfortable for him into Cops' corner. I'm sure Wilson will be a little bit frustrated by that. It's going to be tricky for him to come back. And Foggy's now got Warmingham ahead of him, who you doubt will put up any type of fight. And then he should have Chin as well. But you're absolutely right about Foggy, about Brandon having the tricky season he's had. Particularly in the opening few rounds, hasn't been too bad for him recently. And whilst he hasn't had the stunning drives of Foggy was so good at Nordschleifer, for example, and the other intro that we had. Björn hasn't had any drives like that, but he has been extremely consistent. There's no doubt he hasn't got any worse since his 2 titles. Here is Klusman moving past Pocket Tire, then you've got a slowdown a few laps ago. Klusman with a good drive to the order. Only a handful of podiums for Klusman so far this season. But seems to have better pace today. Next up for him is Sanderson. He's having an awesome run. Up in 7th place. just onto the back of the leading pack.
Sam, I'm reading from the chat. Chris Jackson got an issue with his 3D visor. That's the reason of his big crash at the start with Tony and Steve Lavelli. By the way, here comes Foggy. As you were predicting, it was a multi 1-2 situation here.
One more card to go for Foggy. And that will be Josh Chin, who will arguably be the most tricky driver to pass. But good news for Foggy, so he's got Warmingham straight behind him. I think he had Wilson straight behind him, then there'd be a bit of pressure to get past Chin straight away. But instead he's got the remaining quarter of an hour to do it. A mature drive from Foggy. Where is McClay up to? McClay's up to 14th. You can see he's 21 seconds behind. McClay could probably get back up into the top 10. I imagine it's his pace like 2 minutes 2.3 faster than everyone, pretty much.
Unbelievably, Dane Bird hasn't crashed yet. Holding
Wow.
his own on the outskirts. Well, today
he's doing very well.
Well, today he said he was. Whoa! Around was
there.
Warmingham, clipped by Wilson. And everyone has to take evasive action.
McKnight moves up to 30. He's managed to get past. Well, he was ahead of Alsop anyway, but he gains 2 places right there. Does McKnight?
Yeah, I mean we just got the back end of that. Let's move to the replay. Yeah, it was a
Doesn't
good
look
save.
good for Chin.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
it doesn't look good for Wilson.
Yeah, you know, easy to misjudge the distances, and of course, you are right in saying it doesn't look good for Chin as well. You thought maybe that was a slip of the tongue, but the tongue, not the thong, sorry. A slip of
That's
the tongue.
ironic.
But Chin is really being put under pressure from the champion Le Champion from 2 seasons ago. And so 2 great fights, fight for the lead and this fight for third. Look at Alsop very squarely getting into, as a bit of sun finally comes out from behind the clouds. And
I can confirm this isn't realistic.
Also, I noticed something, and I swear this is completely intentional, but I forgot to turn the crowd on. So we might get a preview of the British Grand Prix if it is hopefully held later this year. Did you read about NASCAR? They are starting again in a couple of weeks, doing races on Sunday and Wednesdays, and then Sunday and Wednesday again.
I mean, that sounds. There's no qualifying as well, is there?
I have no idea.
I don't think there's qualifying. Which, see, I mean, come on, guys. You can spend an hour just doing like a lap or something, can't you? No, it seems a bit reckless. Chin, will this be reckless from Foggy? Chin is defending. We saw Wilson be able to hold off Foggy for a few laps. Foggy, so good though down that hangar straight. Seems to really dip into the draft. Hasn't been able to pull off this outside move through Vale. So Chin just needs to stay cool here. Stay calm. And then through here, it's very tricky for Foggy to get past. It's not really a good final corner, this, actually, at Silverstone, because you get the cut back at Vale, and then you basically can't do anything with it through the final corner because it's so single file, and everyone takes the same line. So please change that, Silverstone, because it really doesn't work. This section of circuit, though, works, because it does get very wide, and you can
I don't like it.
No, I'm very much aware of your opinions of it.
I think it's an abomination, an insult to basic decency, this new section that they added.
It could be better. It could be a bit more flowing to fit with the rest of the circuit. But I think for the racing, it's not bad. It's a bit like Kota Sector 3, where it's horrible to drive, but it's pretty good to race. Chin, once again, positioning his car nicely. Foggy, just being really patient. This is perfect driving for Foggy, just showing his experience from so many different series. The main drivers would have already gone for a move by this point. This is where he got Chin's teammate. So much better traction for him, and Chin drops behind. I don't think there's going to be any comeback from here unless he's willing to massively track extend. Got the car on the inside, and Chin will have to give up here. I think Foggy moves up into the lead.
Foggy moves into the lead. Shin still very close to him, still having a fantastic race. By the way, something happened to Marco Nurmela earlier. He felt the pressure of Dane Bird. Look at that. The Bird pressure, which is second only to the world famous Barbanera pressure. And he spun.
What are you talking about, Marco? You've never been behind anyone. You've always led every lap of every of which you've competed. So
Yeah, but then I come around and lap these people.
Oh, of course, yeah. Oh, that's a little bit of a slide. Maybe the chin pressure, right there. Oh, there's got to be some great Joshua Chin puns, surely. I'll think of some. Half second now between the top two. They have been able to drop Alsop, who moved past McKnight a few laps ago. McKnight still ahead of Wilson. However, also Klosterman catching up to these guys. 2-minute 3.0 for Klosterman that last time round. Gains by about half a second on the drivers ahead. Also McClay onto the back of Baird now. That's a good battle for Baird. If he can keep him behind. And Brandon also came past Sorry. Nicely done there from Johnny.
Here we go, looking at possible move, George McClay. Not close enough, but now we'll get much closer. By the way, the crowd will return for race 2. Oh, and now Bird's time to slide coming out of this particular corner. Side by side as they head into the old start-finish line. Well, in my heart, is still the start-finish line. On the outside...
You're very bitter about this, aren't you? Jeez.
Yes, I'm very bitter. The new first sector reminds me of the last sector at Donington. Completely devoid of any kind of connection to the actual racetrack.
The last sector at Donington, to be fair, is awful. I will give you that. I mean, I don't think it's any worse than what the old sector used to be. I don't think the old version was especially good. As Warringham moves back ahead of Sensors. Remember, Warringham had that spin at Stowe earlier on, and he's been able to take back that place now. Warringham got really good pace as well. Wasn't a very good qualifying for him, being heavily out-qualified by Lavelli, who started a few rows further up than him. But in the race, it seems much stronger, does Warringham. Buzan and Bogotyrev battling. And this is Bogotyrev, I believe, just defending from Buzan at the moment.
If you take a quick peek at the event viewer, they passed each other, I think, 10 times in the span of 2 seconds.
Wow. Okay.
Such they were that much side by side heading into that. And by the way, I mean, we'll go back to that particular portion of the racetrack very soon. But that, I think, has to be your highest achievement as a camera maker for iRacing. That camera shot going into that chicane, the final chicane. The crowd loved it during the Sim Racers World Enduro, and I really used it many times, and I absolutely love it.
Nice. I mean, Adam absolutely adored it, didn't he? I don't think it's that good, to be honest. But I appreciate your compliments. I will certainly take them. By the way, the only feedback I ever get for the cameras is, "Oh, Stan, this doesn't look very good. Could you go fix this?" Along with the 50,000 things you have to do with the cameras. So I do appreciate the compliments whenever they come. Quite like this one. Actually, I'm not sure if I got the same cameras. Oh no, I do have the same camera. Yep.
Unless you have updated them. Of course, the camera pack will really shine when we get to the race 2 pit stops. Cars will disappear and then reappear, but here we go. Klosterman and Sanderson, and here it is, that beautiful camera shot you will see right now. really shows also a little bit of elevation change as they go into the braking area. So Tony Klusterman goes past Wayne Sanderson, and also there George McClay. Can he stop the car? I think he can, and he moves up into 10th place.
We also had so what happened to Bizan there? So Bizan got past Bogotayev, didn't he?
Yes.
And then how did he drop back behind?
I don't know.
Also,
Maybe.
or was it sorry? I don't even know. Very confused now. Yeah, there was a poor lap for Bizan there. 2 minutes 7.6, so down into 11th place. McClay up into 10th, so he'll certainly be within the reverse grid. There was the mistake seemingly.
Chris Jackson trying to get back to racing. Unfortunately, this doesn't seem to be the case. In the meantime, Johnny Brandon went past Dane Bird up into 12th place after stopping. It's been a very chaotic race, as you can see on the left side of the screen. Everyone has changed position, apart from the guy at the top of the table, Nicole Foggy, and even he had to fight to get back there. Very, very race 2 like race 1, and we still have 5 minutes left with Foggy, Chin, and Alsop completing your temporary podium, and then McKnight and Jamie Wilson having a fantastic run in 4th and 5th. Wormingham is in 6th, then Tony Klusterman in 7th, Wayne Sanderson, Nikolai Bogotayev, and this guy George McClay rounding up the top 10. Leader of the club race, well, actually they are all together. Steve Levelli, there he is, in front of Andrew Hoffman, who's in front of Clyde Whiting. This is battle for 2nd and 3rd. Then we have Bill Switzer sitting there in P23. As someone has rung the bell, so hopefully I closed all the door because I was expecting it. So hopefully we will be volume sealed from my dog that made a special appearance during the Sim Racers World Enduro a couple of weeks ago when you guys
I
left.
hate to say it. I hate to say it, Marco. I don't think it's worked. I can't hear him right now, but I could hear him a moment ago.
Awesome.
Or her, sorry. Apologies.
Her, yes.
Wendy.
Wendy, exactly. Well, I'm usually very professional when she starts barking, but during the Sim Racers World broadcast, I started laughing, especially because the chat kept making fun of the situation. I was not very professional, and I apologize. Someone who's been very professional about his job is this man, Nicole Foggy. He has worked his way back after that scary moment in the opening portion of the race. Made a very smart decision, I'd say, Sam, to go in the grass and avoid further damage. He was also a bit lucky. That is also always a part of it, I think. And he worked his way back, and now he's in the lead and looking comfortable. 3 seconds ahead of Chin and 5.2 seconds in front of Richard Alsop for the Racecraft team. So Nicole Foggy, again, he has been, more or less untouchable in the second half of the season. Didn't win every race, but I mean, he has always got the best out of his car in every meeting, even when he was not the favorite. And even today, looks like this race 1 will be his, and he has shown that he has been able to fight back from a tough position early in the race, and that's why I think he's looking good for him in the championship. He has always raced with his head, and today is again, at least in this race 1, one of those days as well.
Yeah, definitely a very sensible drive. When he got past the two Team Chimera drivers, so many drivers who are just as quick as Fogg, he would have got caught up in an instant with them too. But instead, he was patient. He knew the situation. He knew how much time he had. So he just waited, and when the opportunity opened up for him, he took those opportunities. So very nice showing from Boggy. Bogatov has been caught back up by Buzan. Russia versus Belgium here. And, well, Ford v Ford as well. Vast majority of these drives are Fords. We will take responsibility for that.
Well,
At threat of not having a Ford title winner for the first time in a while. Two Holdens lead the championship. What is Brandon in? Brandon's in a Ford.
Ford.
But yeah,
Brandon
two,
stayed true to the blue oval. Foggy, when he came back, he betrayed us as Nurmela and Baird go side by side. Bogatairev, of course, started this season in the new old and then had terrible races. Then came back to the Ford as Baird is holding his own against Marco. Very good driving from both of them. That was a very tricky situation. And still Nurmela will try to go for the move, I think, here, but a good exit from the 24 of Baird. Let's see if, as the white flag comes out for Foggy, moving all the way to the inside is Baird. Hard defending from Baird, and Nurmela has to wait once again.
yeah, nice defending. We should say, whilst Dane Bird is on the cameras, do check out Apex Racing TV's social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Some nice race rundowns on there. As Baird just holding on. I mean, Numer's a top opponent, and Baird is doing well at keeping him behind. However, maybe he's struggling for straight line speed. It seems like a very clean car there, but down the hangar straight, he was losing out time and losing out time again down the pit straight. And Nurmela does now move past. It was a little bit of a matter of time. The driver just behind them, the 93 is Bill Switzer, a lap down. So Baird doesn't need to worry about that one. Any other battles, any other late changes potentially happening. Bogotarev might be overtaken by Brandon. Brandon has got past Buzan and has just set the fastest first sector of anyway. He was actually 2/10 faster than even Foggy just in that first sector. It's only 13 seconds long, or 13.8. Brandon managed to do it in right there. So he's trying his absolute best on this white flag lap. As off the circuit is Baird. Well, it hasn't lost him a place, although Sori is now very close to him. That could be a tight battle to the finish. Here comes Brandon. He's going to make this move right now, going into Magnus and Beckett's pocket time. He'll try to stay in there. The most experienced driver on the entire grid, I think, apart from maybe Klusterman, I think, is Bogatai, but he has to stay behind. Meanwhile, out in the lead, Nicole Foggy, it was a very poor start for him, taking evasive action of Namela. However, he got back to the front from 8th place, and Nicole Foggy wins race 1 at Silverstone. Comfortable in the end. Chin in 2nd place. Alsop was catching in the closing stages. Wasn't enough. It's still a nice podium for those two drivers. McKnight in 4th. Bogotarev isn't going to beat Brandon, but I think he will be very pleased. He will beat Buzan. Nice race-long battle between those two to finish in 10th, 11th, and 12th. Baird and Sori are still going at battle. However, Baird should have this one covered. 14th could well be reverse good pole. Could be an important move that, or important holding on to that position for Baird. The late spin didn't cost him any places. Rounds out the top 14 drivers, and the rest of the pack will come across the line pretty soon as well. But great drive from Foggy there. From the overtaking we saw, do you reckon Foggy's going to have a great opportunity at winning race 2 as well? It's difficult to put your finger on this circuit when it comes to overtaking because, you know, we have plenty of kind of straights going into corners, but they're not a whole lot of big braking areas. It's tricky to tell how well the front runners from this race are going to be able to make their way up through the order in race 2.
As the top 3 in the club race come home very close to each other. It's Steve Lavelli taking home the top honors. We are only waiting for one more driver, Jamie Jeffrey. Can I be honest with you?
Yep.
I think in any kind of car, this is a terrible track for overtaking. So.
Really? Okay. But think about, you got turn 3, you got at the end of the Wellington Straight, and you got Stowe, and you got Cops. They're
Sam,
all overtaking spots.
Sam, I know this will hurt you because it will touch you in a very, very deep place in your soul. But this Silverstone is in my top 10 of the worst tracks in the world. So
Wow.
it is rare for me to say positive things about this place.
How can the opening sector be so bad to ruin this part of the track? Maggots,
Because they
Beckett,
also removed the bridge
Chapel,
section.
Hanger Straight.
The bridge section was my
But
favorite, and it got
you got
removed.
but you got Brooklands, Luffield, Cops, Maggots, Beckett's, Chapel, Stowe. Stowe! You don't enjoy that part either, do you?
No, yeah, I mean, maybe. That's why it's not number one of the worst tracks of all time. So, as the cars are making their way through the pits and back to their garages as we wait for the end of the race, as there will be a big fight between races in the commentary box. Let's give you, and should be on screen right now, the race results from race 1.
Yes, and it is Nicole Foggy who wins out 4 seconds clear of Joshua Chin. I think that might be Chin's best ever result. Might be his best first ever podium. So congrats to Josh Chin. Was a really good job from him. Led for a while after the race. Richard Alsop finishes in third. A little bit of a setback for him at one point. Was really catching up to Chin near the end. And shame that we didn't get to see Foggy versus Alsop. I think that would have been really great. But Alsop having I believe, a bit of a spin at one point. Jay McKnight, a strong fourth for him. He's been very consistent this season. There's Jamie Wilson. Tony Klusterman, Richard Warmier, Wayne Sanson. Great, good drive from McClay from the pits to finish in ninth place. Also, 21 seconds behind. That was pretty much how far he was behind after the first couple of laps of Foggy. So, he's got good pace today, has McClay. Brandon, very good drive after an early pit stop to come back to 10th. Bogotayev held off Buzan Namela. What could have been for him up in second place after a few corners? He ends up in 13th. Baird was in 14th. Dominic So, 15th. Tyler Newer in 16th. Anthony Woodward in 17th. And Steve LeVay, top of the club drivers, in 18th, really strengthening his hold of that championship. Then it was Clyde Whiting, Andrew Hoffman, Jamie Jeffrey, Bill Switzer, Andrew Packer, Chris Jackson, and Lane O'Connor. So, the reverse grid wheel, the best reverse grid wheel we have. What is it going to land on today, Marco?
We'll have to wait for a second because I actually can't find it.
Aha. I thought this was going to be like the quickest kind of option for you to possibly access, but clearly not. But by the way, just a little bit of a thing of the reverse grid wheel. You'll see that there's 2 of them. So we have, I think, the inside one, which will always be a number, and then we have the outside one.
No, sorry, it was
is
there
a
all the
plus
time.
one.
Yeah, apologies.
Aha, lovely. So we'll spin the wheel and we'll tell you what the reverse grid is.
I was looking for a file that was not there anymore because, of course, it changed name during the off season when Samuli made the new wheel. So I was looking for a file that doesn't have that name anymore. The wheel was in front of my face the entire time, and there it is in all of her glory. And let's roll it. So it's 24 minus 1, which makes 23 in my opinion, and that means Andrew Packer will lead the field. If he finished on the lead lap, which he did not,
didn't.
and neither Bill Switzer did, right?
Nope, 1 lap down.
Well, so Jamie Jeffrey should be your pole sitter. Let me give you confirmation in a second.
Yeah, so Jamie Jeffrey in 21st, so basically a full reverse grid. Jeffrey will be on pole, Hoffman in second place. So Brandon will start in 12th, McClay in 13th, and of course Foggy in 21st. See how those guys can move their way up through the order. Could be a good opportunity for both Grenton and McClay to make up some points in the championship. Double the amount of points on offer, remember, so certainly do check it out. We'll be back with you in the Racetech V8 Supercar series in about 15 minutes time. Do not miss race 2. We'll be back in just a bit. Welcome back to the Racetech V8 Supercar series live on Apex Racing TV. Once again, I'm Sam Fitzpatrick, and Marco Barbier is with me, operating the cameras as well. We are back at Silverstone for race 2 of the evening. We saw a race 1 victory for Nicole Foggy, starting from pole position, dropped down to the outskirts of the top 10, but managed to recover later on in the session. He will be starting from 21st position for this race, after we reversed everyone who finished on the lead lap from race 1. 40 more seconds of practice, and then we'll jump into the race. But Marco, you've made your opinions on this circuit very clear. However, being entirely factual, who do you think is going to have the best opportunity in this one? We're going to see Brandon and McClay start in the midfield. Do you think that's going to be a big advantage compared to the 21st position that Foggy's going to be starting from?
Well, whoever is racing needs to be careful about the microphone from the blimp camera, who apparently is all the way down on the tarmac. I don't know. This is like
It is very loud.
This is like the Motegi karting camera. So I don't know. Maybe
if you had the most up-to-date camera pack, then that wouldn't be an issue.
But in any case, as we quickly go through the starting grid on your screen right now, this shouldn't be the correct grid, because there was Tony in pole. This is the correct grid, and my pick for this race is Marco Nurmela.
Okie doke. So yeah, there is Jeffrey then from pole, off in second. Yeah, Nurmela in 9th. And Brianton 12th, and McLean 13th. Watch out for Klusman from 16th, maybe Wilson from 17th, 9th, 18th. Alsop 19th, Chin 20th, and Foggy 21st. Race 1 winner. Bill Switzer and Lane O'Connor. Hopefully O'Connor will take the grid. I think he did take the grid in race 1, so he should certainly be around. There is Jim Jeffrey. I believe the first time he has started a race from pole position, just about finished on the lead lap, hence why he is on the front row of the grid. The rookie driver, 2.32 license. Can he hold on to this lead for long? We are away racing for race 2. Good start for Whiting from 3rd place on the grid. Moves to the inside, however. Jeffrey just had enough pace to start off this race to hold on to that lead. Do the first couple of corners, they head. Good start for Nomella, who's already moved from 9th to 6th. Driving down the inside there was Lavelli. Oh, there's
Jamie.
A spin round for
what a
someone.
Save.
As Jeffrey manages to, I think that was Jeffrey's save perhaps, and drops back into 2nd place. Whiting now leads this one 3 wide, further back, spin for Wilson in the background. Sorry, also losing out a couple of places, being shoved off the circuit. Bogusarov getting up into the top 9, even the top 8, as, there was a big crash. Woodward was involved in it. I think he may have been the only one, though, to get significant damage from it, as we got the 42. I think that's Buzan. Oh, sorry, apologies, sorry. Skating across the circuit and does well not to rejoin unsafely. But we have got the first half lap in the books, and Whiting with a 1 second lead.
Oh yeah, great start from Clyde. Jamie Jeffrey actually lost it, then made a fantastic save. He lost the position to Whiting, but saved his race, as Lavelli and Brandon both moved past the pole sitter as they are heading into the mid portion. Sorry, the final portion of the lap. Another reason why I don't like this new Silverstone, and it's the last time I talk about this, is that I still think that the start-finish line is where it used to be when I was a kid.
Well, watch a bit of MotoGP, and you can go back to the good old times, as going to lose the place here is Whiting. So Whiting must have made a mistake to Makis Beckis, who lost loads of time, had a 1 second lead. Lavelli will try to go round the outside through Bell, has the inside for the second part, and through, down the inside, goes Johnny Brandon. That is absolute beauty in an overtake right there. Moves up into the lead. Meanwhile, we've got spinners with Bogotayev and Bird spinning round. But Brandon, who I don't even realise was anywhere near the front, he's escalated 11 places on the opening lap. What happened there? I don't know how he gained all those places, Marco. I swear he didn't gain that many places in the first few corners. He must have just had an incredible second half of the lap.
Yeah, I mean, and that pass was absolutely the stuff of legends, 3 wide heading into the corner there, and he was able to make it work with a bit of courage. In the meantime, behind him, something happened between Baird and Bogatairev, or maybe, oh no, someone spun there.
McKnight?
Maybe it was Jamie Jeffrey. He got
Yep.
turned by one of the racecraft cars, and then all sorts of chaos ensued. So Brandon, Lavelli, Whiting, Nurmela, and Newitt, the top 5. George McLeay, Tony Klusterman, Richard Alsop, Nicole Foggy, and Richard Wormingham, your top 5. We are in for a long one, 45 minutes, of course. We haven't touched on the weather as Nurmela tries to go past Whiting, so we should have it in a second on your screen. There we go. As you can see, of course, it's the 15th of May, which is almost correct. Almost. And 24 degrees track temperature, so these guys will be pretty happy, even though there is a massive wind of 23 kilometers per hour that might unsettle the cars as we go through this 45-minute main event. Here we go, Nurmela on the inside of Whiting, locking the brakes there. Foggy is in the pits.
Huh. Well, I guess he knows he can get to the end of the race from here. Must be low fuel consumption because they are limited on fuel, but this must be the absolute earliest time. Won't have much benefit from the fresher tyres, though later on he might have some aging tyres by the end of this race. Here was Foggy's view of the incident. Oh, well, that was a lot of stuff going on. And just as he did in race 1, they could avoiding the wreck. There is Foggy stationary. He's been stationary for a while, but I guess just taking fresh tyres, is he?
I don't know.
17 seconds.
I mean, I was looking for him. Maybe he got some kind of, some contact. Baird is taking tires as well, so.
That was a lot. Oh, maybe he got a penalty.
Yeah, but I'm thinking.
Slow down. Didn't serve it.
Oh, Tony Klusterman is around.
Oh, dear. Oh, that's a little bit of an unsafe lead. Don't take your teammate out. Here goes Jay McKnight. Yeah, maybe it was a jump start or something for Foggy. But yeah, he's got that penalty, it seems, and that is any hope of a good race 2 over. You can see how far behind he is. The others going through Maggots and Beckett's.
Yes!
Oh, he's a
Wow.
genius. He's an absolute genius. Oh, that's Jesus level stuff right there. Completely jumping the start, moved forward slightly. That was a weird mistake though, wasn't it?
Sam, you are on a roll tonight, with these spots that you are catching up stuff. The Nurmela contact that I missed at the start of the race, and now this jump start by Foggy, absolutely incredible mistake. Certainly not something that we expect from him. And so that was a long...
Dear.
Oh,
That's
here we
the
go.
Alsop round. Whiting's been defending from the Racecraft boys earlier on there with Nurmela, and this time it's Alsop who tried the move, but Whiting making contact.
Okay, so I say it now. Johnny Brandon leads the way. He's got 1.7 seconds over a teammate, and he's got 6.4 seconds on McLeay, and Foggy is in another county, which is also technically correct.
It is, yeah. Do you know what two counties it is?
One of them is Northamptonshire, and
Okay, I think the other one is Buckinghamshire.
Yes.
I believe.
Now, how do I know this? I know this because the name of the track in R-Factor 1, since I didn't have the rights of the track for Silverstone, to call it Silverstone, was Northamptonshire.
Aha, okay. I always love the PES games, where you
Mhm.
got Norfolk City, for example, which is absolutely superb. Absolutely love that one. I guess FIFA have to do that with Serie A now, don't they?
Only with one team, only with Juventus, which
Oh, okay.
but they are they are they are Juventus have a fake name in every game because they have the even in Football Manager they are not called Juventus, they are called Zebre, which means zebras, of course, because that's their nickname. And they
Aha.
play at the
Well,
Zebre Stadium instead of the Juventus Stadium, which I find absolutely beautiful. Three wide, almost Whiting, Wormingham, and Shin. Whiting holding his own there, locking the brakes. Little bit of a mistake.
oh
Massive
dear.
door banging from Shin there. Here comes Wormingham. You know, I had the pleasure to have a chat with as also because in the pits with the quick chat with Calvin Fish, and of course Calvin Fish, famous for his trademark catchphrase "argy bargy" when things get heated on the racetrack, and that was it's a prototypical example of argy bargy. So who knows who's coming for the next Dinner with Racers race. You can follow them every Thursday night, Friday morning as Chin goes past Whiting on the Dinner with Racer channel, and of course yours truly will be behind the cameras. 2 weeks ago we had Kenny Wallace. Absolute pleasure to talk to him. And this week we had Calvin Fish. You know, the three people have rang the bell during the race, and I was expecting only one. This is a conspiracy.
Absolutely. It's Sam Kumo, clearly. He's trying to jeopardize this whole production. It's probably the blokes from Race Spot. It's the type of thing that they'd do. Um, Wilson, right behind Warmingham. 2/10 of a second. There has been a few chopping and changing. I mean, really was Chin really did make some enemies a moment ago with that contact with Warmingham, then Whiting. Down at Stoke, going to have a bit of damage from it, if that's any type of karma to him, if the incidents were at all his fault. Not quite sure. I can see from a first glance. Wilson has a fantastic view of this. Warmingham going at it again with Whiting, who honestly he seems to have some 1920 brakes on that. He's locking up into every corner right now. It's not going to help out the tyres, even if he did want to come into the pits waiting for some fresh tyres. Absolutely no way in there. It was completely blocked, and that's a nice move there from Wilson to grab his car around the outside. Even he's got a bit of damage. Buzan with a pretty clean car, running pretty well as well. Is Sam Buzan up in 9th place. 10th place is O'Connor. I always get very excited whenever I see O'Connor's name because it's Ocon, isn't it? It's Ocon's initial, and that is going to be a thing for next season. Hopefully, we'll be preparing for June starts, which would be absolutely incredible. Even if it was July, I'd certainly take a July start if they could get it back up and running by then. So positive news coming from that. And Warmingham should, or can he pull away from Wilson, who of course finished pretty high up in race 1. Outside in this race in 17th place, so finished race 1 in 5th place. Warmingham actually higher, sorry, a little bit lower than that place, finishing in 7th place in race 1. So they should be pretty evenly matched. Further up the road, they've got Chin. Pretty much any further places for these guys are going to be very tricky because pretty much all the front guys have got their way to the front. Brandon, Lavelli, to be fair, club driver, but we know the pace of Steve Lavelli. Nomella in 3rd place, McClay, Chin, and Warmingham rounding out the top 6 at the moment. Might be worth going back to Whiting because he's just got more drivers queuing up behind him. Buzan is next to pass, and I'm surprised how clean that Whiting car is. One of the cleaner cars out on circuit, but Buzan with a much better line. O'Connor and McKnight just lining up to have their go as well. Being a disappointing race this for McKnight, must have been involved in something. as Whiting pulls right to the side of the circuit, maybe letting these drivers pass, as going straight through the middle is Lane O'Connor. It's not going to work for him. McKnight might be able to get in a couple of
Oh!
places. He gains 2 places, and he's going to gain 3 places because they make contact. Well, that's a nice move there from McKnight, and he moves up into 8th place.
Disappointing from these 3 Ford boys, basically tripping over each other, letting the Olden go by. But this is absolutely a fantastic fight. Also, in front of them, Wormingham and Wilson are also going at it, but I have no idea where to point my cameras next. Such is the excitement in this race. Massive damage on McKnight's car there, so that might explain what happened. That might explain why he lost. Well, no, he gained 10 places from his starting position, as Wilson has got a problem. Where is he? There.
That's an unusual line. The village? Is it village? Not sure. There he goes. Oh, and that was pretty close in the end. Would have been a scary moment for him. Was too desperate to keep the power on all day, and that is Newitt and Kloosterman. Oh, Tony's been involved in a lot of stuff today. And already had a spin, I believe, in this race. Newitt must have spun ahead of him. Oh, has Tony gone for an ambitious move? Just expecting more pace from Newitt, and then Sanderson behind him. Very gentlemanly, though, from Tony. That's the type of stuff we've become accustomed to him, though, addressing that position. And they both lose out big time from that. By the way, Foggy's still in 20th place. Of course, setting good times is Foggy. Alsop, though, on that last lap, hence why we're showing images of him. Purple lap time, 2 minute 2.1. That's 5 seconds faster than, say, Sam Buzan in 10th place. That's 6 seconds faster than Whiting. It doesn't take you too long to close that gap. That he is half a minute behind Warming, currently in 6th place. So Alsop absolutely flying along. Yeah, frustrating for him. And Foggy will be going with him as well. He's sitting a little bit further back. This will be interesting. Where does McKnight come out in relation to Foggy? Foggy, remember, had a very long pit stop, 30 seconds, so he lost about 15 extra seconds, so McKnight should be ahead. But it's not guaranteed, because McKnight's, of course, been in a pretty tight battle. Kloosman and Newitt also coming in, so maybe this is the earliest you can come in and get to the end of the race on fuel.
Yeah, and of course that comes into play nice. No, sorry, comes in. You know, we were touching on Nicole Foggy, of course, in his early stop. Not only is that far behind, but also he will have to stop again, which is never good.
I'm not certain on that.
Well, this is longer than the old Silverstone, so I think that. And these are different cars, so I don't think you can pull because if you can pull a one-stopper stopping on lap 1, you can theoretically go for a no-stopper. As Nurmela and Levelli, let's see the lap time comparison, and you can see that the Finnish driver is closing in lap after lap after lap and lining up for a possible move against the number 38 XVR car. Still Johnny Brandon enjoying a comfortable lead of 3.5 seconds. Just behind this duo we have George McClay, looking to have a nice race too. As we switch to the award-winning camera, and Marco Nurmela dives into the pits. I promise you it's true, there is.
Want to use the pit lane cam, Marco?
The pit lane cam is the same deal as...
Oh, look at that! It's not bad.
But yeah, that's cool.
iRacing default, to be fair. I did look at that camera actually afterwards when I was making the edits with the camera pack that I'm running today. And I couldn't find any evidence of me doing anything special to that camera, so I don't know what was going on with that. But I will make some nice cameras. Nomella then, yeah, of course, into the pit. Wilson, Chin, Buzan and Sanderson. Interestingly, Foggy getting ahead of McKnight when McKnight came into the pit. So if Foggy doesn't have to pit, and I think you are right, Mark, I do think he will have to come into the pits, especially considering that we've just seen half the order come into the pits in the last couple of laps, very much indicates that this is the time where you can get to the end of the race film, that the fuel's perhaps a little bit more limited. Chin coming out behind Alsop. So has Alsop undercut? Yeah, he has. Alsop was stationary for 10.7 seconds. Chin was stationary for 13 seconds dead. And so Alsop is clear, and he should be able to pull away on this lap because he'll have the warmed up tyres. Namella, meanwhile, he has already come into the pits, and he's just ahead of Jim Jeffrey. However, 15.3 seconds for Namella, so quite a contrast in terms of these pit lane lengths.
Sam, as Lavalli goes into the pits, no, sorry, Lavalli just glitched out for a second. I have a question for you as we look at Jamie Wilson here. Do you notice something different?
No.
Well, it was in the release notes. I think in the patch of 2 weeks ago, not the one that came out the other day. But as you can see, they added a massive Ford sticker, which I'm absolutely a massive fan of. The racing art department hard at work. So now we have this massive Ford sticker on the inside of the car.
Actually, I mean, it's very easy to say now, but I did think, was that there before?
No, they put it 2 weeks ago in release notes. If you go and read, they said like updated artwork on the cockpit of the car. You know, they've been doing a lot of stuff for the TV, no? For example, in the IndyCar and in the NASCAR cars, they have the sticker with the driver name, for example, now, and the number, which I find absolutely cool. It reminds me of the DTM onboard panel, which is absolutely beautiful. And yeah, I think the Holden has already had because the Holden has got that sort of monitor in the inside of the car. They have had that since the days of the previous car. As Chin looking for a way past.
Chin with a much wider line.
Oh, apparently Gunther Steiner is in the commentary box, according to our friend Amos.
So Jorgen, what?
Apparently, it's not the first time I've been compared to him.
Also he is Italian.
Gunther Steiner? No, not that I know.
No, but he is Italian, but very North Italy. I mean, literally on the Austrian border. He is. Hence why he sounds Austrian, but he does have a Italian.
Oh yeah,
Italian
of course. You are right. Yeah. You are right.
But safe to say you are 1,000 kilometers away from that, I imagine. So
yes.
very far away. Nowhere near the same accent. So I don't know what you are talking about, Amos Bjorkroth.
We have a new commentator that's much closer to Gunther Steiner's hometown here at Apex Racing TV, and he sounds like Alonso, so it's.
Well, yeah, I guess Alessandro is a lot more Italian than you, I'd say. He sounds a lot more Italian than you. I'm not questioning your backstory, Marco, but it's like I would say he's got a slightly stronger accent. Moving clear then. Who did we see overtake? Nomella game past Chin. Apologies, obviously. Chin's had a spin, has he? Chin is 5 seconds behind Nomella now, or 10 seconds behind Nomella. Or am I getting very confused? I might just be getting very confused.
I don't see
Nomella.
Anything on the.
Apologies. No, it was Chin versus Alsop. Chin got past Alsop, and he's now up into 8th place. Apologies for that one. Meanwhile, McClay is onto the back of Lavelli. Brandon not a long way ahead of these guys. I wonder when Brandon comes into the pits whether Nomella might be very close to him, because Nomella's just set a 2-minute 1.8. He was only 4 seconds behind before the pit stops. If he's taking 2 seconds a lap out of the leader's gap, then it might be pretty close. Let's say if Bjorn comes in on this lap, I think it'd certainly be worth for him too, because we're at the halfway point anyway. So there's not really any point in going longer on your first stint than on your second stint, because you're just going to lose track position. Novelli stays up, McClay comes in, and Brandon stayed out as well. I'm not sure if this is going to work out for Brandon. I think Nomella might take the lead out of the pit stops.
This will be an interesting to follow as we head for the halfway point of the race. Johnny Brand. By the way, also, opening and closing the parentheses here, Alessandro Daredon, our new colleague, speaks perfect German. So.
Okay.
But not because he is from the same region, but the region where he is from, where Gunther Steiner is from, is basically divided in half. The northern part, German is the main language, and the southern part, where Alessandro is from, Italian is the main language. So he learned it because of he works in he works abroad a lot of the time because he works in the hotel business, so. And he worked a lot in Austria and Germany. But yeah. So if you want a Gunther Steiner imitation, maybe you have to wait for the next broadcast where Alessandro is involved, which I think it's Monday for the Formula Driver Challenge.
I've listened to Alessandro, and like I said before, he sounds very Italian. I would not have thought he would be Northern Italy, I must say. I would have thought he'd be very different to that. But thanks for letting us know. I do feel like us commentators, we need a little bit more. We need like a profile, don't we? Where's our graphics displaying our stats and info? Hometown and all that. Foggy, by the way, coming back into the pits. So clearly that's a pit stop. After 2 laps, you couldn't go far enough into the race. Can't go to the end of the race. So this is an awful race. Awful race for Nicole Foggy. He's back down into 18th place. Will be over a minute behind. Brandon stays out again. Surely Nomella will be clear. Only hope for Brandon, I think, is that Nomella had a very long pit stop. I say a very long pit stop. Had 15 seconds, which is about 2 seconds longer than other people. So Brandon might have an extra kind of lap to spare, but he is losing 2 seconds a lap at the moment to Nomella. 2 minute 3.1 for Brandon on that last lap. Only 1 second slower than his best lap, but Nomella's been dipping into the 2 minute ones at times. 37 seconds between the two of them, and in complete clear air as well is Nomella. So there is the pit stop strategy at the moment for everyone. McClay, by the way, has come into the pits. Just hasn't crossed the line yet. Seeing that blue will appear on the overlay, I'm sure. There he is.
Let's see if it's true or not, if Sam tells the truth.
Oh, I don't know how it works. Well, Nomella's has worked, so McClay should work. Oh, that was nice, wasn't it?
Perfect.
That was lovely. Oh, look at Chin as well. I could watch this all day long. So satisfying.
I have underused this graphic, which I find absolutely lovely. It's very hypnotic.
It's very clear though, isn't it? I mean, it's really good. We've used it a little bit for endurance, particularly AOSC. Sim Race as well, endurance, I don't think it works quite as well because everyone kind of has the same pit stops, whereas AOSC with their safety cars and whatnot, it works quite well. Of course, you can check out the laps that all the drivers came into the pits by the live timing in the description below. That's by SDK Gaming. Obviously, you've heard of SDK Gaming because I swear everyone is using it now. As we has had a massive boom, which is superb because a great bits of kit provides the overlay for us, so you can basically do our job instead of us if you want, because all this is like basically standard. So you do check out SDK Gaming.
I can tell you that someone, a driver of the IndyCar community, since we are not doing the IndyCar broadcast anymore on Friday nights, they have been doing a bootleg broadcast with our software, and it turned out it's quite nice. Also, just a new feature that has been, not a new feature, but a feature that has been vastly expanded as also Birmingham goes in the last couple of days. Now we have translation for the graphics on the screen in, I think, 5 different languages, including Italian. done by yours truly, of course. So
Oh, nice
he,
one. Didn't know you did that.
if you are if you want to have a broadcast for a national league, and also thanks to the file provided by Pascal, you can quite easily create your own translation in your own language. Works basically like a dictionary. You have the original word in English, and you put the translation right next to it, and it's very very nice. I also uncovered a couple of bugs that were not known during my translation efforts. So I'm doing, fantastic job of beta testing and translating. I play up to third. So yeah, many languages are now available: Italian, French, Brazilian Portuguese, English, and another one which I don't remember. But it's 5, yes. Foggy
Yeah, good luck.
2017, fastest lap of the race. Soiree 20. No, 201. Oh, yeah, 201.7. Foggy, fastest lap of the race, but as you can see from this shot, 1 minute and 23 back. And now the big question is, when is Johnny Brandon going to stop?
His lap times are starting to neutralize against Nomella, so he's not losing the 2 seconds a lap that he was before. There you are, so he lost 1.5 seconds a lap 10, then 9 tenths, 5 tenths, 4 tenths. So it is neutralizing a bit now. Brandon's lap times very consistent. There you go, 2 minute 3.3. So pretty much maxing out those tires. He's still the favourite, but he's just making it quite tricky for himself if he does come out behind Nomella, because he'll have to overtake Nomella, which will be a little bit of a hassle, a little bit more risky, especially after what happened in race 1, of course, when Nomella slid across the circuit and took out Bianton from the lead. McClay has... Oh no, George McClay has come into the pits. Deary me. George McClay, well, it looked like he was going to make up some big points on Nicole Foggy, maybe even outscore Foggy for today. I'm not sure that's going to happen anymore, because here he comes into the pits. His pit stop was fine, 15.57, but this must be a stop-go penalty for him. We saw a jump start for Foggy earlier on, and now it's McClay. He's going to have to come to a halt. Let's see. Oh, wait.
Oh, he's
For
taking
some sort of
tires.
reason, he's come on the jacks. He took tires before, and it wouldn't be worth taking tires again. What? It is so strange for McClay here.
Trying to put it into first, then to neutral, then back to first. I think he's just frustrated because he's serving that penalty. But of course,
Maybe it's
if you take tires and you do service, the penalty extends even more. So this is a disaster for McClay, absolute disaster.
nearly 40 seconds now for him. Foggy's gone. Foggy's been and gone, so Foggy's going to outscore McClay. Deary me for McClay. This could well be his drop round for him. Hasn't had too many poor rounds as McClay finally comes out of the pits. 49 seconds stationary, so he's lost a minute by doing that. Over a minute and 5 probably. Absolutely incredible. He was on for third place, was McClay. And the championship, which was he was certainly the favourite for the first half of the season, is ebbing away from him. And this was his chance to beat Foggy, who was having a rare off day, a rare mistake from Foggy. And it's not going to get anything from it, is McClay. What a shame that is. So everyone's come into the pits, apart from Brandon. As Foggy moves up into 15th place past Clyde Whiting, who's had an entertaining race to say the least so far. McKnight versus Wilson. Wilson was half a tenth of a second slower on that last time. I think these guys have been glued to one another for a little while. Wilson with older tyres. Apologies, has he got older tyres? He's got 1 lap fresher tyres, so pretty much the same. Very little difference.
You can see the situation on the left side of your screen, the lap where they last stopped. As we have some Buzyn here going past was that Lane O'Connor, and of course defending now from Sanderson. Sorry, O'Connor going past Buzyn. Also, a moment for our race leader. I think he just went wide, very easy to do so. But if you go wide here, you can get a slowdown very easily. I once got a, and this is true, I once got a slowdown at the start of a race. Now, before you laugh, it was an F3 race, and there was a pile-up in front of me, so I had to take evasive action. So you can actually get a slowdown before the start of the race here in Silverstone if you go too much to the left.
So, but what was this on the old Silverstone then?
No, this Silverstone.
So as Brandon comes into pits.
Oh,
So you
did they confuse the start-finish line once again? Yeah, so I was talking about this corner.
Oh.
Here you can get a slowdown if you go wide. Sorry.
Aha. Okay. So I was very confused. No.
So am I.
Okay. I didn't know that is quite humorous actually. Yeah. 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 Didn't know that. But rightly so, because I mean that is something that also needs to improve. I mean I've said it before about iRacing. They need to implement like some sausage curbs on the outside of these corners. So rather than getting slowdowns, you get a physical penalty for it. And because you haven't got any of the safety dangers, obviously, I appreciate what happened at Monza last year in F2. As Brandon, this was going to be close for the lead. Namella
Johnny, where
has
are
to
you?
take the lead if
Johnny!
he's going to have any chance. Demella just about moves ahead. There he is. It's a shame that McClay's not out there because McClay would have been pretty close himself to passing Brandon. So it's 1 second. Brandon with much fresher tyres. I mean, he should have about a second a lap fresher tyres to the end of the race, and he's got 11 minutes to do it. But this could be fun. Namella versus Brandon. Round 2. Didn't end well last time. Let's see what happens this time.
Absolutely. I'm quite sure that Marco has apologized to Johnny. And you are absolutely right, Sam. He has much fresher tires, but you will also agree with me. You still have to make the pass. And it's easier said than done, especially around here. But we know this car, how much it suffers on all tires, how much pace you lose. I mean, the real-life car. Oh, I still have to finish my coffee. The real-life car around the Albert Park racetrack loses some like 3/10 per lap after the tires hit their peak. So
Wow, okay.
I mean, after 3 laps, you're almost 1 second down on pace, assuming you have 3 perfect identical laps.
I don't think it's as bad on this, I would say. I think it's probably about 2/10 a lap. Strangely, in AOSC on... it was a really weird race in AOSC on at Road Atlanta the other day. As Brandon's going to be close to a move. Are we going to see a change for the lead? There goes Brandon, and pretty much no defense put up by Namella. Very much opened the door for him. Knew they wasn't going to be able to hold him off, and Brandon takes back the lead. Well, back on course for this race 2 victory. I might go through fastest lap as well. But I guess it's quite irrelevant now because Brandon's passed anyway. But at Road Atlanta, it was a bit of a strange event where after a safety car, the drivers on old tyres were actually fine against the drivers on new tyres. It was really strange, where there was almost like no drop off whatsoever. But usually, yeah, it is about 2/10 of a second a lap. I think actually at the start of the stint as well, you know, second and third and fourth laps really does seem to peak, and then after that it drops off quite severely, and then plateaus a bit by the end of the stint. Almost sideways there for Wilson. He still can't get past McKnight. Wormium catching back up to these guys, and they're also catching up to Alsop. Alsop on the last lap did a 2-minute 4.1 and came in on lap 4 of this race. There's a chance that Alsop may still have to pit in this race, although I think he should be alright.
So I noticed something by racing and crashing a lot in the in the D class series. For example, with the F3 in the sprint series where you have a fast repair, if you crash and tow back to the pits, when you take a fast repair, I always take tires as well, because with the new tire model, if you're there sitting like for 1 minute and a half, 2 minutes to wait for the tow, and then you restart. Yes, you take the fast repair, but the tires are so cold that at first lap is a nightmare. So it's better to take tires with tire warmers, that they start with a decent temperature. Because basically, if you let these tires cool down, you are in for a bad 15 minutes. I can tell you that it's certainly not a pleasant experience, and that's something that I mean I have been told. Maybe I told this to you already, but former Pro World Championship driver told me that with the new tire model cars, you have to grid as late as possible, because the earlier you grid, the more time the tires have time to cool, and therefore you have more trouble. Which was the opposite of what you should do with the old tire model, where you should, grid as early as possible, because those tires work better when they are cold.
Certainly, Klusman, notorious in this days for waiting a while to get onto the grid. I think he's been a little bit better on it today, to be fair. But it does take an age, does that man, and it does infuriate Johnny Brandon. I know that for a fact. I think Nicole Foggy gets a little bit frustrated by it as well.
Oh, a guy has 2 minutes to grid, and I can use all the 2 minutes, no?
Oh, but don't you think in an official series, you have an 8-minute qualifying session, which isn't very long. You have to wait 2 more minutes for some geezer to get onto the grid. I actually always grid after about a minute, just so that I don't have to wait on the grid for ages. Otherwise, I get really agitated. No patience. I am that younger generation, clearly. O'Connor, defending from Sanson. O'Connor's base quietly gone up the order. He wasn't within. He started last at O'Connor, so he's up 13 places. Only Alsop has moved up, and Alsop and Chin. Only those two guys have moved up more places. Sanson, meanwhile, that's been a great race for him, running in 11th. Not quite sure why he isn't running higher than that, to be honest. Is Sanson, but he is quite close to O'Connor. Foggy is 6 seconds behind these guys, and is lapping about 2 seconds a lap faster. We've got 3 to go, so he should be able to catch them by the end of the race. So there could be 3 places on the plateau here for Foggy, and if he could get these 3 places, then we would be far from the points high score, because this round is double points compared to the first race. But it wouldn't be too bad for him. Wouldn't lose too many points to Brandon.
See the sector comparison between Foggy and the driver we are watching right now, Sambusin. As you can see, 2-3 tenths of a second per sector. This is a 5-sector track, still the old infuriating iRacing 5-sector.
Honestly, yeah.
And also, it's not helping. Well, it is helping Foggy. It's not helping O'Connor and Sanders, that they are having a big fight. So of course they are slowing themselves down even more. Bogatayev is also getting into it with Tyler Newitt. This is Newitt defending from the 555 Ford. I'm still waiting on, because I'm so afraid I could jinx him, but Johnny Brandon looks to have this in the bag. He's pulling away as expected from Marco Nurmela. Now, kudos to Marco. He didn't put up much of a fight. He knew that Johnny had much fresher tires. Maybe it was a bit, wild speculation on my part. A bit wanted to apologize a bit for the shenanigans in race 1. Newitt still defending nicely from Nikolai Bogatayev. Where is Johnny Brandon? He is here, so we are lapping in the 2-minute 2s. He will cross the start-finish line with 3 minutes left, more or less. So today we are spot on with the calculation. Sam has been on a roll today. His level of professionalism absolutely off the charts, showing up 1 hour earlier to take notes, noticing the contact between Nurmela and Foggy in the beginning of race 1, noticing Foggy's false jump start in race 2 and other great catches here
Paint
and
pack.
there.
Got the paint pack.
We got the paint pack, absolutely. Didn't notice the Ford sticker, which is very disappointing. Looks
Look,
like,
it's a Ford sticker.
I mean, looks a bit, you know, last minute addition. You know, doesn't quite
It
fit.
looks a bit. It looks like it's in front of the. It doesn't look like it's attached. I don't know. It almost looks as though someone's like cut it and then just put it on top. It doesn't feel like it's actually stuck onto the cockpit. Wonder if they need to make it so that it's almost like curved. It looks like curved the sticker rather than how it does look at the moment, which is yeah, bit strange. Sanderson, he's got the inside on O'Connor. Buzan's nearly caught these guys. O'Connor will squeeze Sanderson a little bit. However, he seems to be through O'Connor with a good mid-corner pace there, but Sanderson's got it done. He's up into the top 10 now. Is the Australian. And Tony Kloosterman is 10 seconds up the road. Boggy's nearly caught up to these guys. Sanderson should be safe now, I think, because we've only got one more lap to go after this one, so Sanderson should be able to pull away enough. However, I believe O'Connor and Buzan may well be caught and passed by Boggy by the end of this race. No one's going to catch this man, though. Johnny Brandon will be fascinating to get an interview with him later on about this strategy, about how much he's been pushing in this race. Ever since he got that race lead, he's set one really quick lap. He set a 2-minute 1, which was his personal best lap of the race. Built a 2-second lead almost instantly, and then ever since then he's kind of been maintaining. You can see 3.2 seconds. I'm almost certain he's been kind of quite cool and calm towards the end of this race. Here comes Boggy, absolutely bundling his supercar into Stowe Corner. But this is a big race, I think, for Johnny Brandon, Marco. Can we say that this is through a battle once again for the championship? Brandon had such an awful start to the season, we ruled him out. But this strong race today with Boggy outside the top 10 at the moment, at least, and McClay having a rubbish race. Brandon's bringing himself back into contention with 2 rounds to go.
I'm so happy for him. You know, we are unbiased, but and we root for well, we don't root for anyone. As meanwhile, Foggy gets past Buzin. But it's been refreshing to see this race from Johnny. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Complete domination. Nothing went wrong for him for once this season. And with just a few corners left, looks like it's going to be a very well-deserved victory. Again, Foggy and his teammate O'Connor. I'm sure there will be a pass very soon. There we go. Maybe a bit too wide. Here comes Sam Buzin on the inside. And I think
Oops.
the ACA driver will make the move.
That was very clumsy. They're usually very good at that coordination. But here comes Brandon. 2.7 seconds clear out in the lead. It's going to be a pretty comfortable win for Johnny Brandon. He took the lead, gaining 11 places in pretty much the first lap. And after 45 minutes of racing, he takes the checker flag at Silverstone. Race 2 is his. Namella finishes in second place and did give Brandon a very good run for his money. Steve Lavelli, I mean, he is well and truly well on course for that club class title. As Sanderson is going to have to defend from Foggy, who almost makes contact with him right there. Foggy round the outside at Stowe Corner. Here we are. Sanderson almost understeers into him. There's a lockup for Sanderson. Foggy should have the better line, but he's spinning up the tyres coming out of Stowe Corner. Sanderson with a slight advantage into Vale, and I'm not sure if Foggy's going to get this one done. He will have a better line to the finish, but Sanderson, with some fantastic defense, holds on to the top 10. Foggy recovers 2 places on the last setup, but he finishes 11th. And O'Connor gets past Buzan
And they
to
had some
finish the
contact.
race. Buzan was down the inside here after O'Connor had tried to come back.
And he
And
waited
that
for
was
him.
very generous there from Buzan to let O'Connor go. Very much took responsibility for that one. O'Connor finishes in in 12th, Busan in 13th. Just the rest of the drivers. Jamie Jeffrey, another lead lap finish to start on pole position, of course, for this race too. And George McClay, what could have been for him? A podium, certainly. Maybe could have even threatened Namella and Brandon, I think. He was pretty close to the pair of them, or would have been close to the pair of them. But picked up a penalty somehow. So served a stop go penalty and finished a while off. Last driver across the line will be Bill Switzer. He didn't finish on the lead lap in race 1, gains a couple of places to finish in that place. You can see almost a full lap down on Johnny Brandon, who takes his another race victory this season. I believe that's his maybe 4th. I've completely lost track of how many he's got, but it must be approximately 4. And of course, he is the most winning driver in this series. I've won more races than anyone else in this championship. I believe that's about number 35 on his resume. Very impressive for the 2-time champion, who keeps his championship hopes alive for the season 8 of this of the Racetech V8 Supercar series. Marco Numella finishes in 2nd place, top of the club judge Steve Lavelli, and he is romping towards that club championship title. Josh Chin, great day for him, 2nd and 4th, maybe the points highest scorer. Not 100% sure on that, but certainly going to be close to Brandon for that mantle. Richard Alsop finished in 5th place. That was Jamie McKnight. Jamie Wilson, Richard Warmingham, Tony Klusterman, Wayne Sanson held off Nicole Foggy, who will still be the championship leader after today. Lena Connor was in 12th, and Sam Buzan, Tyler Newitt, Nikolai Bogotayev, Clyde Whiting, Dominic Sori, George McClay, 80 seconds off the lead in the end. Jamie Jeffrey, Bill Switzer, and then 1 lap down, or 4 laps down, apologies, was Andrew Hoffman. In fact, Switzer was 1 lap down himself, and Dane Baird and Anthony Woodward did not finish the race. In fact, Woodward barely started it. Didn't think he even took to the grid. They were 22 laps down. So interviews with drivers. Who have we got to have a chat with? Well, we've got straight away Johnny Brandon in for a chat with us. Race 1, 9th place, I believe, and race 2, 1st place. Johnny, congratulations. Really good day for you in the end. Before we talk about race 2, let's talk about race 1. That start, absolutely lovely start. You take the lead, and then out of nowhere, there's a torpedo in your side, and go down the order. That must have been absolutely heartbreaking.
A little bit, yeah. I think I've led 2 races this season, and both times been taken out. At least he wasn't my teammate this time. No, look, I think Marco made a genuine mistake. He's a great guy, super quick. He's one of the cleanest guys out there, so there's no hard feelings with that. Accidents happen. I was just unlucky, and obviously, yeah, he just gave me a meatball. So it went round the right hand, and it just come up meatball, and something changed in the back of the car. It was really bizarre, and that was it. Yeah. So that kind of put pay to race 1.
On a more positive note, race 2, straight away got off to an awesome start for you. Didn't seem like you gained that many places in the first few corners as far as I could see. It seemed like it was like in the second half of the lap where you gained quite a few places, and then you rounded it off with an absolutely beautiful move. We were on board with you at the time. 3 wide down the inside of a couple of drivers. I mean, that was one of the best first laps I think we've seen on Apex Racing TV.
Thank you very much. It was yeah, obviously, yeah, it's all a bit of a blur. I can remember the move at the end of the lap on Steve and Clyde. You could just see that they were going to have a shoot. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be cheeky, and I had to apologise to Steve afterwards, but he was suitably impressed, so it wasn't a problem. Yeah, it just went in a blur. I think everywhere I put the car, the seas parted, if you like, and yeah, I think where did I start? 10th? I think I started
12.
12th. Okay, yeah. So yeah, by the end of the first lap, first place, that was a pleasant surprise. I think I was due a bit of luck, Sam.
we were saying that throughout how unlucky you've been all season long. We were waiting for, I don't know, someone to come out from the woodwork and somehow take you out of the race. But none of that happened, very thankfully. We also saw you take a strange strategy decision. You stayed out probably about 5 laps longer than anyone else for that first stint. What was the thinking behind that?
It's probably more due to the lack of thinking.
Aha. Okay.
I wasn't sure what to do because the drop-off's really quite big here on pace. And I missed Marco pitting. If I'd have spotted Marco pitting, I would have pitted straight away the next lap. But it was only until about 2 laps later when I realised Marco pitted already, and I thought, no, it's not worth it. I'll just stay out because the tyres sort of dropped off quite a lot, and then they sort of plateaued. So I thought, as long as I can just keep going and doing consistent laps, he'll catch me up, and then I'll get the fresh tyres and should be able to get past, which is pretty much what happened. I don't know what happened to George. George was a bit of a concern as well, but he seemed to disappear. So I don't know what happened to George.
He had a penalty, and we're not quite sure why he got a penalty, but was had a like a 50, I think he was stationary in the pits for like 50 seconds or something. So
Oh, blimey.
that was
Okay.
ridiculous.
Probably lucky for me because he had great pace today. Obviously, he didn't get to show it in race 1, but I'm pretty sure he had a lot of pace in his pocket. Yeah, shame that's happened. But yeah, so when I come out behind Marco, it was I knew I had a big advantage with the tyres for a couple of laps. And to be fair to him, he didn't put much of a fight up, whether that was because of race 1 or just he's generally a nice guy. Probably a bit of both. So yeah, it worked out.
I know we often ask you about the championship, and your sponsor is always very relaxed, and it's very good the attitude that you have. But not a very good day for Nicole. I mean, you probably made up 50 odd points on him in race 2 today. You're edging back that gap. You can't be far behind George now with the day that he had as well. So
That was the frustrating thing about race 1. I thought, I could get a lot of points back on George when he had his penalty starting in the pit, and then of course the incident just let George straight off the hook. Where did he finish in race?
oh, way down, like 18th something.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that I mean that might spice it up a little bit. I think Nickel's still got it in the bag, and Nickel deserves it. He's been the fastest man in the car all season, and I'm not just saying that because he's my teammate. I'll have a conversation with anyone that thinks differently. I think he's the fastest man in this car at the moment. So, and he's done the best. I think he deserves it. But I might creep up to second or get close. Might make a fight of it with George. Make it exciting for the last couple of weeks, if that's the case. But we'll see. I'm just trying to enjoy it and have fun, which I did today. It was great.
Absolutely. Well, well done out there, Johnny. It was really great to watch you out there today. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, thank you guys for the broadcast. I'll watch it back. And thanks to my teammates at XVR. Obviously, we all put a bit of time in the car to get it going. Power Max Racing, Simortal, Host 365, Virtual Racing Association, and Racetech for sponsoring the league, and all the guys that run the league, Clyde, Pete, Bill, etc., etc. So yeah, thanks very much, guys.
Awesome. See you in a couple of weeks, Johnny, if we don't see you before then.
Yeah, cheers, Sam.
Johnny Brandon there, your race 2 winner, and dare I say, points high scorer today. Certainly very close to that to that mantle. Marco, who we're going to have a chat with next?
And I have a chat with Marco Nurbala, and he should be in the booth with us right now. There is. Hello, Marco.
Hello.
So, a tale of 2 races for you, of course. Race 1 and race 2 on polar opposites. Talk us through your evening of racing.
Yeah, I got really good exit on first race. I got really good exit on that hairpin, and I think I was stomping on my brain because I didn't hear or see anything when I was going. And I got in front of Foggy and took out Brandon. So yeah, that was bad. The second race, it was tough to navigate through. But when I burned my tires also on that short first stint, and the second stint was really good. So managed to get P2.
So I wanted to ask you about tire degradation. You just said something about it. So was it really that bad in race 2, despite the fact that the track was decently cool?
Yeah, this track eats the tires. Like if you spin them couple times, it takes like 10 laps to cool them off, and then you need to lose time to cool them off. So it's better to pit early and just take care of the tires on the second stint. It's terrible how bad it's the tire wear there.
Couple of rounds left. Next time by on the 16th of May. Sorry, we will be at Brands Hatch GP for an endurance event, if I'm not mistaken, the final endurance of the season. What are your thoughts about racing at Brands Hatch?
No, it's a good track. It will be exciting.
Awesome. Well, Marco, it's been a pleasure talking with you. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Richard, we did a lot of practice past 2 weeks, and RKE, and I want to give a shout out to Brian. He did really well on the Porsche Sport Super Cup.
Thanks a lot, Marco. We'll catch you in a couple of weeks. So, Sam, I'm looking at the schedule, and yes, Brands Hatch, I'm seeing it will be a night race, a spooky race, because there are no
Wait.
night lights in Brands Hatch. So
Wow.
that's going to
Well,
be something.
hate night races. Thanks, Clyde, for that one. Can we bring back? You remember when we did Charlotte Road and we had 8 times time day acceleration? Can we have that? That
I
would be.
I disagree with it because it really eats up your CPU. So please don't do it if you are listening to us. It's not really the best. Thanks to Richard Wintle for subscribing to Apex Racing TV. I think we have time for one more interview, Sam.
We do. We do have time for one more interview. It's Dane Baird who is in the commentary box for us. Dane, your debut today, sporting a very fetching delivery, I must say. How did you find it?
Yeah, it was actually pretty good. The feature race didn't go as planned, as I'm sure you definitely saw that. But the heat race was a lot of fun. The setup was down on straight line speed, which was very frustrating because got in a straight line and had a perfect exit, and then I just got passed every time on the straight, which was unfortunate. But yeah, I really enjoyed that.
What would you say the main challenges of this car is that you found? I mean, we all know how tricky it is. Is there anything that, in particular, you found something that you've had to kind of overhaul in your driving style to really get on top of this car?
Well, I've got about 20 minutes left of it actually. I'm in a 6-hour endurance race in LMP1 cars, which are very different to the V8 Supercars. And with no practice, I jumped into this race, which was probably a mistake. But yeah, these cars, you really have to feather the throttle. It's really easy to spin the wheels, as I did quite a few times. And yeah, it's also locks up pretty easily, which surprised me. I don't remember it locking up as much as it did, but it definitely locks up a lot. And it doesn't like to slow down very much. So very difficult, especially at Silverstone, which is quite a technical circuit.
Can we expect to see you in a fortnight's time at Brands Hatch?
Yes, you can. I think definitely converted. I think I'm definitely going to be joining in Brands Hatch. I think that's a 90-minute one, isn't it?
Yes, and apparently at night as well, we have heard.
Oh.
Which I guess will be a new experience for you. You've ever driven these cars at night?
I definitely haven't. No, I'm barely driven these cars at all, to be honest. And Brands Hatch at night sounds interesting, especially for 90 minutes. That's going to test me a lot.
Absolutely, that is yeah, that's going to be a tricky second race for you to do. Best of luck for that, Dane. Is there any shout outs or thanks to anyone that you'd like to give before we say goodbye?
Thanks to Tim Brokaw at DGR for designing the very fetching livery as you described it, and thanks to the organisers of the league. They're doing a pretty fantastic thing, and thanks to you guys and at Apex Racing TV. I always love it when people thank us, so I'm going to thank you. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. I like it as well, and people don't do it enough. So thank you for thanking us, because let's face it, we are a fantastic broadcasting company, and
Oh
we
yes.
deserve all of this. Thank you, Dane, for having a chat with us, and yeah, best of luck for a couple of weeks' time.
Thank you very much.
So that was Dane Baird there, finishing in I believe 14th place in race 1 and 22nd place in race 2. Marco, that's going to round off the evening of racing. Of course, it divides opinion. This at least within this commentary booth, but I think that was another very good round. The start of race 1, one of the craziest things I've ever seen in this series, and then race 2, really good fun. A lot of mistakes as well from drives that we don't expect. Clumsy mistakes from McClay and Foggy as well, and Namella, of course, as well in that race 1 start. It was yeah, well, I think one of the best races of the season.
I really liked this round. I liked the tire wear aspect of it, the tire management, especially the second race. And you're right, the surprises were, especially in race 2, you don't expect McClay and Foggy to have a bad day together, but they did. Kudos to Brandon for winning that race. Good job from Marco to come back and after a bad race 1 to get a podium race 2. And Lavelli, I mean, will very deservedly be a pro driver next season because he's having a smashing championship, winning a lot of races in and generally being up there with the quick driver, with the the quote unquote pro driver. So I mean, fantastic race, and of course, I mean I'm already thinking. About what's going to happen in a couple of weeks' time. That night race at Brands Hatch, the Enduro, it's going to be something, Sam. But let's not get too much ahead of ourselves because we have a lot of races coming up on Apex Racing TV. Of course, the Saturday action continues. We're going to have the F3.5 Championship coming up next, and that should bring you into the night safely. I think. Let's see what we have tomorrow as well. Oh well, no, we have another broadcast. I apologize. At 1:15 GMT, Canadian e-racing challenge from Watkins Glen, round 1. That will be tonight. Then, of course, tomorrow at 10:45 GMT, we are going to have the Aussie Mixed and Fixed from Mid Ohio. That's going to be round 8 of the championship. At 11:25 GMT, Rotax Sim Racing Challenge from Okayama. And also, that's it for Sunday. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to watch. So, admittedly. And of course, Monday, back with the Formula Driver Challenge, World GT, and late at night, World Karting Association, and then Rikmotech. Also, we will broadcast between Monday and Tuesday at the same time, more or less, of these two broadcasts I just mentioned. The American Endurance Championship that will be on their channel, but it will be done by us as per usual. A lot of stuff going on, Sam. Time to say goodnight, I think.
Yes, I think so. And in case Dane Bird is still listening along, we should give a shout out to all our social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Like and follow all of them. Also, subscribe to Apex Racing TV. Leave a like on this video and turn on your notifications. I don't use notifications on YouTube. It annoys me personally, but you should use them because then you can always see Apex Racing TV broadcasts. So do that, undoubtedly. Hopefully, you'll join us back then for the penultimate round of the championship of the Euro V8 Supercar Series, sponsored by Racetech. That will be at Brands Hatch for a 90-minute night race. Big points on offer for that. If Foggy can win that one, then surely the championship would be going to him. He's been superb in the Enduro so far this season, so we'll certainly back him to accomplish that feat at taking a clean sweep. But for now, from me and from Marco, we are going to say goodbye, and we will see you next time.